All right, let's get rolling. All right, so again, my name is Rick Stewart. Tonight, we're really going to hit it hard on motivation and team building. This is going to be stuff you can watch this, and tomorrow take it to your school and implement it. We're going to talk about team building in the weight room. We're going to talk about team building in practice, things you can do in practice to motivate and team build. Obviously, off-season team building. I'm really powerful on campfires. I'm going to go into great detail tonight of what we actually do when we're around the campfire. I have a Why Make You Cry ceremony we do in August. We have a legacy candle ceremony. I'm going to talk about our team dinners and how we organize those. And there's a lot of different layers there that we do. So this is going to be a lot of really good stuff that you can take to your program. This is very, very little philosophical stuff. Where the philosophy stuff was those first two courses. Everything from here on out is practical, everyday stuff you can use. So, I hate to do this, you guys. I gotta hide you. Yeah, let me hide you guys. There we go. All right. So again, we're on number 3, motivation, team building. Tomorrow night's leadership. Then we're gonna go character, and we're gonna go game plan on Sunday. We talked about real quick the coaching philosophy. It does tie into this, right? Your coaching philosophy. You have to be into this. You have to be into the motivation and team building, right? And so we talked about those in the last couple of things. And one of the things we're going to talk about is how you act in practice, right? Praise in public, criticize in private. So we're going to start with the players because we have to have a player-centered program. I think young coaches, and I'm assuming you guys are logging in as head coaches, but you get assistant coaches. So I may not be talking to you, but I'm talking to some of your staff. And I was that guy, and you were probably that guy. When you first get into coaching, it's real easy to fall in love with the playbook and get into the X's and O's. And this is important. You got to be good at what you do. You got to be a master at the scheme you hang your hat on. You got to be an expert at that. But you've got to work hard on removing the selfish genes. And this whole talk, I hit my kids from about 100 different angles, getting that selfish gene out of them. Because I want you to think about this. Naturally, we are born selfish. It's a human gene, right? You are going to, when you're starving, you're going to eat. There's just survival mechanisms that are naturally embedded in our DNA where we are going to take you are going to look out for yourself. It takes a really long time for you to reach a point where you would like take a bullet for your child. We all would. We would literally step in front of the gun and take the bullet to save our child. But you know, when you were 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 years old, would you have stepped in front of a bullet to save your mom? No, because naturally we're built into, you don't drive down the road and swerve your car and go head on with other cars. There's a natural selfish gene. You know, our kids are selfish. Our kids are selfish. Yeah, God made you that way. So you've got to get that selfish gene out of them. So we've talked about this in previous talks. You and your coaching staff have to sincerely love the kid wearing the jersey, okay? And if you ask the kid, and coaches, you might want to have this one-on-one. You guys are like Michigan. You're in COVID right now. You got a lot of downtime. Have some candid one-on-one conversations with your players in a confidential environment and ask them some of these questions. Hey, what are our core values? What do we stand for? Hey, do you think the coaches care about you, or do we care about you as a player? What would the player tell me? What would the player say if I asked them this question? Okay. And I told you last night, there's no timetable. You've got to earn trust, and earning trust is different for every individual. And you can't get frustrated. I know how many times I got frustrated over the years because kids weren't coming around and responding as fast as I wanted them to. Well, everybody comes from a different environment, broken home, different culture, different religions. And some kids will give you their trust in like one day, and other kids, it takes a whole year. So just never give up, guys. Never give up, because it won't happen on your schedule, but don't give up. Just don't give up. Got it? And this is not just kids. This is everybody. Everybody wants to be part of something bigger than themselves. You guys are coaching football because you had a good experience as a player. You probably had a coach who was very inspiring to you. You probably had a locker room that made friends that are still your friends today. People jump on NFL bandwagons. I mean, look what we do when the NFL comes out. How we paint our faces and go down to bars on Sunday and we wear our jerseys and you know, the Raiders black hole and the Cleveland dog pound. People want to get on the bandwagon. People like to be part of something bigger than themselves. When you're at a big concert or a big event, you're all over social media because you want people to know that you're there, right? And at a very fundamental level, think what it's like to be part of a family, right? If you're lucky enough to be happily married and got kids, right? That's a really special thing, and it becomes very motivational. Well, you've got to create that in your team because kids initially will come out for the wrong reasons. But if you do your job, pretty soon they're like, wow, this is really cool. I've never been part of something like this. And then what happens is they go tell their friends, and they're your best recruiters. They're your best recruiters. This is a saying I say all the time, almost after every practice. Be proud of who you are, be proud of where you came from. Because the kids have to believe that their town and their school is the best in the state. And I'm telling you, even when I was the 0-24s, that's what I thought. Guys, if you're Facebook friends with me, one of my ex-players at McFarland, who was part of that 0-24, we got in a long, in my Pistol Wing T Facebook group, we got in a very, very long messaging. And he was reminding me of the things we did to turn that around. He's now 30 years old. He's got 4 children. And he's still talking about how special that was to turn that around. And then other players that I had coached started jumping in and we're talking about things that we did. And it was really emotional for me. And I remember though, he said that, he goes, Coach, before you came, we thought we were ghetto. We thought our town was ghetto, little old farm working town. And he goes, Coach, now we're very proud to say we're from McFarland. So you've got to really get your kids to believe that, because otherwise people always look at the grass is greener on the other side. Okay, so there's a couple phases here. The old see it, believe it, achieve it. I really believe that. So I've adopted this when I come into the loading programs. First of all, the see it, coach from Michigan, we're just talking about the recruitment and retainment. You've got to come in and be the friendly guy. You've got to be the raw guy. You've got to do a bunch of fun things so kids will gravitate you. If you show up at day one and you're Sergeant Frick, you're the Marine Corps drill sergeant, and you're standing in front of them and go, these are the rules, and if you break the rules, and you got to be on time, and you're at a losing program, their kids are just going to run for the doors, okay? So you got to see it, okay? And it's not just the players. It's not just the players. You've got to get coaches to see it. You've got to get parents to see it. You really got to paint this vision and get people to see where you're going. And I'm going to give you some specific examples right now of how to do that. Then the kids have to believe it. And this is the hardest stuff. It's easy to get in front of the kids and take them to a college camp and do some things. And like, yeah, coach, I want to do that. Coach, yeah, we want to be that team. Yeah, coach, we want to get in the playoff. Okay, but now do they believe they can do it? Do they believe they can do it? That one's tough, right? And then the achieve it. You really, as a coach, can't do anything about the achieving it. The achieving it is that accountability I talked about last night, and getting the kids to buy in, and they start coming to the weight room and they just start lifting and they see themselves in the mirror, they see the transformation, and you start practicing harder and practices are more motivational. That achieve it kind of has to happen without you being involved. There's no team building trip or speech you can do. The achieving it comes from the accountability talk that we had last night. So seeing it, we visit a playoff practice every week. So like this year in Pennsylvania, let's say we don't make the playoffs. We're going to, though. We're pretty good. But let's say we got knocked out of the playoffs. I would take the boys in a van and go to a playoff practice the next week. And I'd pick some team local. And then we'd go watch that team play on Friday night. We're in the stands. And I've got 14, 20 kids with me. I'm like, guys, this is where we're going. We're going to be in the playoffs. This is what a playoff game is like. And then I just keep doing it every week. And then the last week, whenever your state playoffs are, you take the boys to the state championships. That's your division. That's your classification. And you tell them, guys, this is where we're going. We are going to play in this game someday. Okay? Because they have to see it. If you're a losing program, I bet you have boys in your team that have never been to a playoff game. Why would they go to a playoff game? They got knocked out last year. They just went on to basketball. Why would they go to a playoff game? Okay? Go to a college spring practice, and they're going to see how, the people at the top of the game, the way they practice and how fast kids go and how coaches blow the whistle on he sprints the next drill. Team camps and 7-on-7s, because they got to learn how to compete. They got to learn how to compete. The second phase is they have to hate to lose, but then the second phase is you have to teach them how to win. Well, the only way you teach them how to win is put them in as many competitive situations as you can. Coach in Michigan did 7-on-7 tonight. That's good, even though it's against each other. Put your kids in as many competitive situations as you can, okay? Find articles, videos on YouTube. Find as many worst of first stories as you can find, whether it's videos or print, and just bombard the kids. Take the videos. It's free on the internet. Film it with Loom, and then upload it to Huddle. Upload a video every week on Huddle. In fact, if you guys remind me, send me a Huddle request. My team that I'm coaching at right now is Upper Dolphin, not dolphin like the fish. D-A-U, it's Trojan, it's Greek mythology. D-A-U-P-H-I-N, we're Upper Dolphin. Just send me something random, and I'll send you back all these motivational videos that I upload. I've got Jerry Rice, Walter Payton, Kobe Bryant, every video I can find on YouTube. I post it every week for my kids to watch on Huddle. Then you got to believe it. The second phase is believe it. This comes from within. This comes from within. And this is the campfire stuff I'm going to talk to you guys about a little bit. You got to do goal setting. They've got to find their why. They've got to find their why. So there's a bunch of things I do all year where they can find their why. Your why has to make you cry. And there's a really good book out there that has nothing to do with football, and this is where I got it from. Simon Sinek, and it's called Finding Your Why. And it's more written for corporate and business, but it is a really good book about your why. And coaches, here's the deal. Every kid has a different why. You want to preach team, and you want to make everybody uniform, and that's important. But with your why, every kid has a different why. Some kids just because they love the game. Some kids because of family and their older brother. Some because they're playing for the kid next to them they've been playing against since third grade. Some kids come from a broken home and you're the father figure. So you've got to work hard at making the kids find their why. And I'm going to give you some very specific things that we do to make kids find their why. There's several things we do during the season. We talked about accountability last night, and then the obligation of the team. And then they have to feel like their school's the best. When you do this stuff, they set goals. And I'm going to get into very specific ways we set goals. They find their why. You get the accountability from last night. Now you've got that inner fire burning. Now you've reached the second step. Coaches, honestly, to see it takes me I can get them to see it in less than a year. Sometimes I get them to see it in 2 or 3 months. The believe it, that takes a whole year. That takes me about 1 year to get the kids to that level to believe it. And then the achieve it, that's just competition. That's just competition, okay? Confidence comes from preparation. We can't get the achieving part until probably year 2. I told you all the turnarounds. We always turned around in year 2 because I needed a full year, even 18 months under my belt with weight room, conditioning. I mean, there is some physical preparation. I mean, it's not all mental. I mean, you could do all these mental games and do the camping trips and do all these T-shirts and all these things I've been talking about. But if the kids aren't going to the weight room, that it won't matter. You're not going to win. So to me, the weight room is number one. The weight room is like my number one priority is doing everything I can to get them in that weight room. Care. We talked about that. You have to be sincere. Kids have bullshit. Kids have cares. You have to care from off the field. You got to be patient. Okay. Teach over making threats. Tough love, accountability. You need to have this conversation with them because you're going to preach that you love them, and then you have to discipline one of them. So they've got to know that love doesn't mean I'm going to let them get away with things. In fact, true love, true friendship would be you hold them accountable. We have that talk about because they have their buddies in their circles. And I say, are you really their friend? Then why is it when he's drinking beer, you don't say anything? Why is it when he hits his girlfriend, you don't say anything? Why is it when he's making racial remarks, you don't say anything? You're not really his friend. You really don't care about him. because you're letting him do those things that you know is wrong. And we have these conversations. And when I see it going on, I call him out. Hey, Jimmy, what the hell are you doing? I thought that was your best friend. Why are you letting him do that? I mean, right then I just call him out. You guys got to make sure that everybody in your program can be a superstar. You've got the kids that are going to score touchdowns, and kids are going to make tackles, and kids make interceptions. So our linemen, right? We talked about it 2 nights ago. There's only 2 people in the world that love linemen. Their mamas and their line coach. So when we break for water as a team, our team already knows the linemen are first in line. When we have our team meals, we're going to talk about that tonight on Thursday nights, we do our team meals. The linemen are always first in line. After the game, when we do interviews, I've argued with newspaper reporters. I have pissed them off because they want to interview my running back who got 4 touchdowns. I say, no, you have to interview one of the linemen. Well, coach, I want to score. He got 4 touchdowns tonight. I go, and you're going to put him in the paper no matter what. He scored 4 touchdowns. You're going to put him in the paper. I need my lineman in the paper. And I've seen the reporter try to go behind my back and try to go interview the running back. The running back already knows to not get interviewed because we've already taught the running back to appreciate his lineman. And the running back says, no, I'm not going to get interviewed. Go interview my lineman. My lineman got me in the end zone. T-shirts, player of the year, stickers, coaches, our helmet stickers. Every time a kid scores, every lineman that was in on that play gets a sticker. So if we scored 5 touchdowns in the game and it was 5 different running backs, each running back gets 1 sticker. But the lineman, if you were a starter, you get 5 stickers. So over time, the lineman helmets are just full. Anytime a running back gets over 100 yards, all the linemen, first string, second string, third string, all the linemen get a sticker. If our team rushes for 400 yards, everybody gets a sticker. Now, you might want to lower to 300, 400 because we're wing T. We hit 400 pretty often. So we make sure the linemen get those helmet stickers because, hey, those kids will go commit murder. They will go kill their grandmother for a helmet sticker. It's amazing what they'll do for a helmet sticker. Special teams. You got to make special teams special. We call it our special forces because there's really good kids on your team, you know what I'm talking about, that you put on the special teams because he's not quite good enough yet to start, but he hustles his ass off. And so you've always got 4 or 5 kids on special teams that don't start on offense or defense. So make special teams a really big deal. I talked about Scout Player of the Week. That's the kid that carries out the flag out of the tunnel. Our coaches vote at the team dinner every Thursday, and we announce the Scout Player of the Week, and that kid gets to lead us out of the tunnel carrying the flag. You got to do some things on defense because defense doesn't get recognized as much as offense. The only way you get recognized on defense is on a fumble, sack, or an interception. And coaches, the weight room. Everyone can be a superstar in the weight room. I can be the worst football player on the planet, but I can increase my max every week. And I can leave the weight room feeling good about myself. And now I hit that second level of believing it. Because I'm walking out of the weight room, I'm like, this crazy coach is getting me stronger every week. So after 6 months, I'm going to believe that I'm invincible on the field. Name on the jersey. We do a thing in the summer. We keep track of points. Now, you've got to get permission. I got called in front of the school board twice on this. So you've got to make sure your admin has your back. But we come up with some kind of point system. I try to make it 100 points because that's easy in their head. And I say, you have to have 80, sometimes 90%. If I'm first at a school, it'll be 80%, and then I'll raise the bar. But you've got to attend so many summer workouts and fundraisers to get your name on the back of the jersey. So then I go print those $3 nameplates that the home ec teacher just stitches them on the jerseys for me and razor blade them off. At the end of the season, the kids keep them for the rest of their life to hang in their bedroom. So I have had teams, and this is why I got called from the school board. I had like 3 or 4 kids on the sideline that didn't have their names on the jersey. So a couple parents in the stands were going, why don't they have their name on their jersey? Well, we live in this society where everybody gets a trophy, right? And they didn't think that was right. And so somebody called the school board, and the school board made me come in and explain it. Coaches, it was a 5-2 vote. 2 school board members, when I explained to them how they get their name on the jersey, 2 school board members voted, no. If one kid has their name on the jersey, they all get their name on the jersey. Here was my argument to the school board. I said, you guys have a perfect attendance award in school. And what we did in California was in the fall and spring semester towards the end, anybody who had perfect attendance that semester the principal would take them all to like the water slides, or they take them to the movies. They got out of school that day and the school paid for them to go have a fun trip. I told the school board, I go, why is that any different? Those kids had perfect attendance and you let them get out of school and go see the movies or go to the water park. That's all I'm doing. I'm just saying the kids that have perfect attendance get their name on the back of the jersey. Big motivator. I can tell you right now, I've never, ever, ever had a player in year 2 not have their name on the jersey. The kid figures it out. In your career, if you've got hit a certain attendance number, we buy you a patch for your Letterman jacket to reward. Now that kid's already out of the program, but what message that sends at your awards bank when you're passing out these patches saying that, hey, this kid made 90% of everything in his 4-year career. All those freshmen and sophomores and their parents are in the audience and seeing that you're rewarding attendance. Remember, you can't always be about rewarding touchdowns and yards. At the awards banquet, you always have an MVP. You have the most valuable offense. You have the most valuable defense. You have the most valuable offense. Most valuable lineman. Well, you're a hypocrite because you're only rewarding achievement. But if you're going to build better sons and husbands and fathers, what's your academic award? What's your GPA award? What's your effort award? What's your attendance award? You better have some awards that recognize that stuff. We talked about this last night, right? About what hinders motivation. You know, kids have too many choices. Kids never have to wait for anything. Kids buying everything on credit cards. They worship these train wrecks of celebrities. Social media gives them altered reality. You know, and then this constant praise, this society we live in, reduces the motivation. It kind of tied into accountability, but it ties into tonight's talk. So you've got to walk in eyes wide open of what kind of kid we're dealing with. If you haven't studied Maslow's hierarchy, you really need to do it. I've got a blog article on my website that goes into great detail about Maslow. Maslow said, until nutrition, water, oxygen, and body temperature is like if you're on the street and you're homeless and you haven't eaten for 3 days, there's nothing else in life that matters. Absolutely nothing other than you trying to figure out where your next meal is going to come from. And you can be the honest person on the planet, but if I took food away from you for a whole week, you're probably going to steal because you are going to get food. So you've got to make sure that these basic needs for your kids are met, okay? A lot of those you don't control, but you do control hydration, you do control nutrition. Once they've met those needs, then they have a need for security. They've got to be safe. They've got to know they have a warm bed. They got to know they have a coach who loves them and is going to protect them. They got to know they're going to go to school and not get hazed or bullied. There's got to be a safety. Like a kid who's going to school and being hazed and bullied is never going to do good in school because he hasn't got past that second level of the pyramid. Then you have the sense of belonging, right? And you got to build love and trust in your locker room because your kids are never going to hit self-actualization and you're going to have this great team on the field if you've got kids that haven't met these basic fundamental biological needs. So you really need to understand Maslow's hierarchy.